ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋ। ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ 15 ਨਵੰਬਰ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਚੋਣਾਂ, ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਹੈਪਨਰ ਸਰੀ ਫਸਟ ਵਜੋਂ ਮੇਅਰ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਹਨ। ਕੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੁਝ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ? ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਰ ਰਹੇ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ, ਤੇ ਫਰਦਰ ਕੀ ਪਲਾਨਸ ਨੇ, ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਹੈਪਨਰ ਨਾਲ। Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Linda, you have been in the City Hall for a long period, over 2 decades. What has been your experience over there?
Yes, I started out in 1985. I've been there for 29 years. And I would say that what I've really seen happen is when I first started, we were about 140,000 people. Now we're well over 500,000 people. And we've grown up. I'd say that's the biggest change I've seen, particularly in this last decade. We have grown up.
So as we have grown up, so have the challenges and the other issues which are coming forward. Being in the City Hall and being as a councillor also, if you could just sum up, what have been the major achievements of your particular party?
I think that we're particularly proud of the $11 billion worth of investment that we have been able to attract over the last 9 years. Having that investment climate is really important when you're growing, because we are a city of young families, and we need to have that investment. We need those jobs. We need to keep the momentum going that we've currently got. So that investment at $11 billion is important, and I think one of the things I'm particularly proud of, and because I chaired this, was the Build Surrey program.
Right.
The biggest infrastructure investment in the history of the city, over $5 billion, and that went into things that, amenities that people need, recreation centers, skateboard parks, turf fields, cricket pitches,
Right.
Swimming pools. So I am particularly proud of that Build Surrey program, and looking forward to Build Surrey Generation 2, because there's more to be done.
Right.
A great city is always a work in progress.
Of course, no doubt about it. And the opposition is alleging that there has been no transparency and accountability in the the setup which you had been working with. What would you like to tell about that?
I think that's a lot of political smoke and mirrors. Quite frankly, this government, when we first came into power in 2005, there was a lot of fixing that needed to be done. We had to do workplace protection policies, lobbyist registries, and what has happened is we could not be more transparent. We have open data, one of the first cities to have that.
Right.
We have the first city in Canada to allow live streaming of our meetings on mobile devices.
Right.
And we have received year after year after year the Transparency Award in financial reporting.
Right.
We have the only chartered accountant, and I'm proud to say he's on my team, Councillor Gill,
Right.
dealing with our financial house. And we also have brought in by Councillor Gill an internal audit and an external audit.
Right.
So we do more in terms of full accounting for financial transparency, I think, than anyone.
Right. As you had said, the city is growing fast and the future lives here. But along with that, some concerns are being raised about crime also. What is your particular take on this? How do you plan to tackle the issue of crime?
Well, public safety is first and foremost in any city.
Right.
And as you're growing and we're becoming urban, or becoming a real metropolitan regional center of power, you're going to have crime issues. What we have done in public safety, and we announced just recently, is we'll be adding another 147 officers to the RCMP.
Right.
The primary goal of strengthening that officer contingent is around making sure that we can do proactive policing.
Right.
That we can, because right now we're doing responsive policing, and the blocks of time they have available to be proactive are limited. So this will allow us to do preventative policing,
Right.
have them in neighborhoods. We're going to narrow the districts down so that people know who the officers are in the neighborhoods, and more importantly, that the officers know the the neighborhood people, the businesses in that area. So
Right.
that's one piece of it. There are the other pieces of it that are really important are the root causes.
Right.
Mental health and addictions. We have got to have other levels of government help us with that, and that is not just a Surrey issue, that's across the board in this
Right.
region. So we're committed to providing whatever resource we can as a city to have mental health facility, and if
Right.
that means it's right here in Surrey, we can add it to either the hospital precinct or some other place, but we need a mental health facility. And we need a specialized court.
Okay.
We're really pushing for having that kind of court in Surrey, and the Attorney General's office is studying that right now, and hopefully we can announce some kind of specialized court
Right.
in Surrey for next spring.
So from being a counselor, you're going to take more responsibility now. How is it going to be a mayor? Because you have worked closely with Diane Watts also, and you know that there's a lot of responsibility. Quick actions and then development is one aspect. The other side, you have said that infrastructure development is one thing. Other thing is the challenges as the city is growing. Every time there are going to be new challenges. So how do you think that if you are elected as a mayor, how will you carry on these responsibilities?
I'm not afraid of challenges, and I've certainly seen them over more than 2 decades at the city. And I think what I would like to do first and foremost is to make sure that we can connect our communities with transportation.
Right.
To me, that's the next that's the next big step in being the city that we want to become and the vision that we have.
Right.
But I think what I'd really like to say is, I'm a good collaborator. I know how to work with a team.
Right.
I like being a part of a team, and I like the ability to have everybody's opinion heard and then to assess and make those kinds of decisions, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
A lot of expectations from the public. You know, you have been in public service for a long time now, and when we talk about the expectations of the public, and as a diverse communities which is coming into Surrey, and everybody wants to live here because the future lives here, as you are pointing out. So how can you address all these issues, Linda? What do you feel? Because every community, if I may say, want their pound of flesh, and everybody wants their thinking to be prevalent. So as a leader, how will you address all these issues?
Well, you know, it's you always have to define what is the greater good
Right.
for the whole of the community, and I think that's what I like to put at the top of my thinking at all the time. Does this serve the greater good
Right.
of what our city needs to become and the direction that we want to take? So those are always tough decisions. It's never an easy job, and your skin becomes very thick because you're never satisfying
Right.
you've always got a plus and a minus.
Right.
But you have to choose. That's what being a leader is. You
Right.
must choose which is the greater good for making sure we have the kind of cohesive community we want to create.
Right.
That's why I love to do the events. Celebration in the city to
Right.
me is really important.
Right.
To become good citizens, we need to celebrate diversity. We have to all be at the table,
Right.
and we have to embrace one another. So that's going to continue to be a mandate that I have.
Right. And though there are a lot of accomplishments which you have achieved in the past, and as you've also mentioned that $11 billion were invested into Surrey. But apart from that, if you are to be feeling proud of something, what would that be?
I think that I would have to say that I'm really proud of the fact that we have created a different vision for Surrey. That we have gone from being what I would say was often the Surrey jokes to being a recognized powerhouse in the region.
Right.
And I think that we have laid the foundation
Okay.
for a great city.
Right. And you have a lot of, in your agenda, you have brought forward many points. If you could just talk a few points which you feel, if elected, those would be your priorities, first of all.
Public safety, transportation,
Right.
connecting these communities with light rail, and making sure traffic congestion
Right.
is looked at, and then balanced growth and continuing the investment climate that we have achieved over the best place to invest for many years in a row. I want jobs for these young folk that are moving here and these young families.
Now, some of the candidates who are contending in this race has been, one is Barinder, who has been a part of your team. But now she has been saying that, there was more of dictatorship and the councillors were not listened to and there wasn't much transparency. How would you like to address that issue?
You know, being part of a team is not an easy process. Oftentimes there are lots of opinions, and we have people on our team from every political spectrum. But at the end of the day, we do what's best for the city of Surrey. And sometimes, so I don't broker a whole lot of, I don't put a whole lot of credence to those comments. Councillor Rasodi had the public safety portfolio for a lot of years. I don't see her as a person who's unafraid to speak her mind. So as she was removed from that portfolio, that's when we decided we needed, within 90 days of that removal, we had on the agenda, let's hire 95 more officers and 20 community safety officers. Councillor Rasodi voted against hiring community safety officers. So I can't assess what those motivations might be other than political.
And finally, why should the public vote for Surrey First?
Because Surrey First is the team of action. I think they've seen what we can do. They've put their trust in us for 9 years to get it done. And I think that we have changed the face of Surrey and will create the kind of city that they expect them and their families to live in.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for being candid and thanks for your comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the time.
Welcome. जो अज असी गलबात की हैगी उस विच लिंडा हैपनर का यही कहना है कि जो 9 साल तुहाडे सारिਆਂ ਦੇ सहयोग नाल जिस पासे हुण सरी पहुंचे है इस ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਚਲਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ सहयोग ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਅਕੰਪਲਿਸ਼ਮੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ। $11 ਬਿਲੀਅਨ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ। ਐਜ਼ ਚੇਅਰ ਰਹੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ $5 ਬਿਲੀਅਨ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟ੍ਰਕਚਰ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ, ਸਵਿਮਿੰਗ ਪੂਲਸ ਜਾਂ ਰਿਕ੍ਰੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਫੈਸਿਲਿਟੀਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਸਭ ਦੇ ਭਲੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹੋਈਆਂ। ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਕਾਫੀ ਗੰਭੀਰ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸੁਹਿਰਦਤਾ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਅਤੇ ਸਰੀ ਫਰਸਟ ਨੂੰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਓ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹੀ ਉਹ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੰਮ ਪੂਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਏ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ।